Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. So in this video, we are going to talk about HDFS as a how to add HDFS as a data source in Axle Data Observability Cloud, which is the ADOC platform. If you're not familiar about what is Axle Data, what it does, what different product that it has, you can check out our website, which is axledata.io. Uh, you can check out our products, different products. You can always reach out to us. You can check out our different solutions that we provide. You can always reach out to us from the option here, and if you are interested to book to see a demo, you can book for a demo from here. Coming back to the topic here, so in this video we are going to talk about how to add HDFS as a data source in Axle Data platform. So around this, we'll talk about some of the use cases that customer has where we see HDFS uh, as a data source, right? And then we'll pick up some use cases of customers of different line of business. We'll talk about an enterprise data stack example. Where does HDFS come into the picture again? And then we'll cover architecture of Excel data. So what are the different components? Which component connects to the HDFS data source? How does it look like? We'll cover that. And then we'll talk about the prerequisites of this integration, obviously. And then very quickly, we'll see the demo of the integration on the product side. So net, it will have 4 slides, which will take around 5 to 7 minutes, and then followed up by a quick demo on the product side, which will take around 10 to 12 minutes. So please bear with us. So to start with, what is HDFS? So HDFS stands for Hadoop Distributed File System. It is highly scalable, fault tolerant, distributed storage platform, and it is designed to store massive data across different clusters on community hardware. It has high throughput. It is cost effective. It has parallel processing. It has many features, and industries has been using it for very long period of time, right? So HDFS is primarily used for OLTP use cases, not for for OLAP use cases, not for OLTP. Basically for analytical use cases, not for transactional use cases. So that's just about HDFS, and we are here to talk about the use cases first. So as I see with different customers of different line of business, let's say if they are of financial services, CPG, telecommunication, or any other line of business, they use HDFS for different purpose, right? They store data of different purposes. So, for example, financial services data, they store transactional records, market data, risk model, audit logs into HDFS, right? CPG store supply chain data, inventory records, sale transactions, right? And similarly, telecommunication, you stores the activity stream or call records, um, call detail records and event logs, right? Similarly, healthcare and pharmaceutical store the clinical trials, research data, event logs, the clinical trial data, patient records. So different companies of different line of business, they store different types of data, but at end of the day, it is important to make sure that the data is reliable in terms of quality, right? And that's where Axle Data Observability Platform comes into the picture, which can connect to your data. Here it can connect to HDFS in this example, and it can check the quality of the data by running user defined policies or predefined policies, and it can score the data that you have in your system, right, as per the reliability or quality of the data. Moving to the next slide here. So seeing different companies, different line of business, any company all of these company has a very common stack, and this is the stack looks like. So for example, if I talk about with a very simple example, if there are clinical trials or patient records, so the data first goes into the RDBMS, right? And then there will be some pipeline which will consume the data on incremental basis from RDBMS. It will go into Kafka and then maybe into HDFS, then one hop of HDFS into enrichment, then the second hop into consumption, right? And then finally, when the data is ready for consumption in the consumption layer, there will be some dashboards, MLAI, Power BI, or like any BI tool which can consume the data from consumption layer and basically help the user in driving some business insights. But as I said, it is the business insights will only be reliable when the data is reliable, right? So Excel data is the product which can connect to such pipelines, and it can help the user to keep an eye in the performance of the pipeline, in the executions of those pipelines, in monitoring those pipelines, and the quality of the data which is flowing into the pipeline, right? So as I look at this, there are some streaming apps or RDBMS kind of like some data sources on the left where the data starts, right? And then there will be some ETL jobs, will which is responsible in curating and transforming the data and moving the data from one hop to another hop. And at the end, you have the dashboards or MLEI. So HDFS usually comes in enrichment or in consumption zone, right? So as I said, the data can come to Kafka and Kafka to HDFS is one very common example, right? So if you want to monitor the data when it lands to enrichment, so what's the quality when it landed into enrichment, right? Or if between enrichment and consumption there are few more hops and you want to monitor that, right? So if you want to monitor any hop of that pipeline, you will connect to that HDFS cluster, and or you will connect to that HDFS directory itself where the data is stored, and you will check the quality of it by the policies that Accelerator the policies can be created from the Accelerator UI. So that's the example. And talking about the architecture of ADOC, uh, so this product is a SaaS architecture design product where there are two parts of the software. One is the control plane. The second one is the data plane. The control plane is the part of the software which has the UI where the user interacts with the product. User can create policies from the UI, and the second part of the product, which is the data plane, is basically does the heavy lifting of checking the quality, checking anomalies, and all of that, right? So the control plane is completely hosted and managed by Excel Data, and as part of the product setup on customer environment, the second part of the product, which is the data plane, goes into the customer's premises, customer's VPC, right? And Accelerator team helps in installing that or setting up the data plane on the customer's premises. And this is the data plane which gets the registered connectivity to the data source. In your case, in this current example, it is HDFS. So HDFS will get the registered connectivity to the data plane. So again, it is important to have the whitelisting also done. The communication has to be whitelisted between the uh, data plane and the HDFS cluster. So net, one part of the product where the UI is the policies gets created here. The second part of the product which does the heavy lifting, the policies get submitted here in the data plane, and it consumes the data from HDFS. It checks the quality of the data by because this data plane is runs on the Kubernetes cluster, so it runs in the form of Spark job. Only the metadata goes to the control plane, and uh, only the metadata of the policies, like how many rows is scanned, what is the quality of the data, that data goes to the control plane, and not the actual data goes, not any customer data goes out of the customer premises. So now the next topic or the next slide here, which I want to cover is, and after this we'll go into about seeing the demo of this integration. So what are the prerequisites for this integrations, right? So talking about HDFS, so HDFS has basically a few components in which the name node, which is the master node, and data node, which are the slave nodes, and then you have zookeepers at KFC and many other. So name node URL is what you need, the host name and the port of the name node. Then you need credentials, username, password, obviously, and then whitelisting. Obviously, as I said, the communication has to be whitelisted between the control plane, between the data plane and the HDFS data source. So these are the high level three main prerequisites. But to check the details of that, you can always refer to our. Then there are, if the cluster is Kerberized, not Kerberized, right? So to check that, the detailed documentation is available at Accelerator documentation site, right? So what is the prerequisites in detail, and then how does the steps looks like, which I'll quickly now cover. So let's go into the product and see how to add an Accelerator product, how to add HDFS data source as a product in the product. So you go into the register section here, right? And then you will have the option to click on add data source. So you click on add data source, then you'll find around 40, 45, 50 connectors which are out of the box available already in Accelerator platform. And you'll find in the list, you'll find HDFS. You select HDFS, and then you'll basically be asked to provide the name, some description, which is optional. Then you enable data reliability and select the data plane, right? So this data plane, I'm considering that basically this data plane is what I talked about here. So once the data plane is set up, the complete infra is ready, then the next step is basically to add the data source. So consider that your data plane is already up and running. So you'll get the data plane list under this list here. So you select the data plane and then you go next. I'll show you a configuration which is already a connection which is already set up. So you provide the name and then enable data reliability, and then you select the data plane and then you go next. So here you provide the name node URL along with the host name, port, and then the cluster name, right? And you do test connection. As soon as you do test connection, it will basically send a request to authenticate. And once the authentication is successful, it will say that, yeah, it is connected. So, and once that is done, you go to the next step here. In the next step, here you are basically required to provide the asset detail. So your HDFS cluster is very big. So you may have some important data and not important data, which are not important for you to check in terms of quality, right? So the directories that are important for you to monitor, right? So those directories uh, can be, or those path expressions can be provided here, and the assets can be named. For example, let's say uh, the first one is for maybe for landing. The second one is for curation, and the third one is for enrichment, right? So you can uh, you can provide the directories one by one and create separate assets on Accelerator platform. So here HDFS is one cluster, but under that we have three different or four different of three different assets or three different directories that we want to monitor, right? Then by after providing the path expressions, and you can provide even you can go by providing star that you want to look at all of the files that are present under the directory, and then you select, okay, what is the file type of the files that are present in that directory. So is that CSV or ORC, Parquet, JSON, Avro? So these are the format that we support under HDFS connector type. So, and if it is JSON, so we also have the options to decide the flattening level of the JSON, right? And if it is multi-line JSON, you can enable that. So that is the option that we can enable it. And if it is CSV, what is the delimiter? And then you provide for all of this Once you are done, you can go to the second option here. The next option here is basically uh, providing job concurrency, right? So if the job, any job gets submitted, what should be the maximum concurrency for it, right? And then whether you want to schedule the crawler execution. So what is crawler? So crawler is uh, is a job, is the first job after the connection is set up. It is the first job which goes to the HDFS cluster and fetch or takes out the metadata and brings that into the Accelerator environment, right? And what is that metadata? For example, these are three assets. Under that, there are some CSV file, uh, um, and it will have some column names. It will have some of the other details as well. So it will connect to that, and it will get how many files that the accelerator is connected to, how many columns are there, and some freshness details and all of that. Now, if you want to schedule this job to run it on incremental basis, so you have the option here, whether you want to run it on daily basis, weekly basis, hourly basis. And if you want to get a notification if the crawler fails, so you have the option to select, create and select the notification channel, which can be your webhook, email, Slack, Teams, anything. Then if you want to get a notification, even in the case of success, you can enable that. Otherwise, you can ignore this. After all of that is done, you just click on submit. As soon as you click on submit, the configuration gets saved and you get the option to go directly to the data source because your crawler is already scheduled, or you can always ask to start the crawler, and next time, as per the scheduling that you have defined, the next trigger will be taken care of. So you start and go to the data sources. Here in the list, you select HDFS and okay, the crawler has started. And but let me just show that if the crawler has already run, right? So you can, for example, for this one, the crawler has already executed and it is already completed. So you can always check the status of the crawler, what time it started, what time it ended, how much time it has taken to complete, and how much time it has taken to complete, and just to monitor the crawler performance. Now, this job of the crawler is still running, and it will say that, okay, out of three stages, none of the stages is complete. If you want to see more details, you can click on the icon here. And once this is completed, it will say that it has fetched some metadata. But since I have run this already, so I can just quickly click on that and see, okay, what time, on what date it was created, health check was done, or execution, next execution is at what time, the crawler execution is at what time, and then how many files that we are connected to, how many columns in total, that it has around 69 columns in total of three files, that with CSV files we are connected to, right? If you want to see what are those files, you can click on that and see the okay, these are the three different mm, file configurations that we have provided, right? This is the reliability score, because this was already set up. If you land it for the first time, these details will not be there, it will just be blank. So user has to configure the freshness policy, anomaly detection policy, data quality policy, reconciliation policy. For example, this policy is not set up, right? A reconciliation policy on this one is not set up. But you can see that if you want to view a data quality policy, you can click on this one and go to that directly. What are the tags attached to it? Because the profiling automatically tags that. So you can always check for the tags from here itself. So this is your catalog page, where you can catalog the assets. You can search for your asset using the filter option, or using the search bar here, right? Or you also have the navigator here to search for your asset, right? So this is how you connect your data source, which is HDFS, to Accelerator platform. Coming back to the slide here, so the process, what we have just gone through is, we started from the register page, we selected HDFS as the data source. We provided a name of that connection, and then we enabled data reliability, and then we selected the data plane, which was assuming which was already created, and then we provided the name of the name node URL, the cluster name. We provided the asset details, and we triggered the crawler. After the crawler uh, has been submitted, it has fetched the metadata uh, from HDFS, ingested that into ADOC's database. So, and we have verified the connection, verified that the crawler is running, and I can always go back to check the status of the crawler anytime. And to see or to explore the assets, we have gone into the catalog page where we explored the three assets that we are connected to, if the policies are configured, not configured. So that's what pretty much that we covered today. Thank you for your time, for watching this video. We'll see you again in the next video with next topic, with a different topic. Thank you. Bye.